Okay, so another 20 or 25 minutes, let me show you some of the reproductive management and how do we tackle with silent estrus, stillbirths, and dystocia in JP cows. So I'll talk about first how do we tackle with, how do we take the measures in silent estrus. So as we have given some information about the JV cattle, they reared in a very intensive system, but so the tendency or the change in beef farm size has been increased because the number of farms had dramatically decreased during the last quarter century. So as a result, the number of cows per farm 4 times larger. It led to some problems. So in the last 5 years also, so now in 2018, this year, the average number of heads per farm is more than 50%. But of course, this is average and it varies a lot. It's many farms, traditional farms, they are less than 10 animals. So, but in other side, some new farms have thousands of heads. You know, the tendency is goes to as a result goes to the very becoming a large size. So challenges for the JV farms were faced with increased size. As I said, they are kept inside of the house barn and not they are grazing. So it sometimes you can just happen to detect the standing estrus, but labor for estrus detection become much higher compared with some decades ago. And the estrus detection rate has been decreased, and then pregnancy rate has been lower than ever. So there are some strategies to improve estrus detection rate. One of them to increase frequency or duration of traditional observation, not only once a day, instead twice or sometimes 3 times per day. Or using devices, maybe pedometers or some other devices available commercially for estrus detection. But today, now I focus on the use of timed AI program. So this is the reproductive management for the typical, one of the example for reproductive management for JV cows. So to be cows, there are list of cows to be checked, either 40 or maybe 28 or more than 28 if you use ultrasonography, and also this one, and also if they had been not inseminated and no estrus sign was detected after 40 days postpartum period. Then we do rectal palpation together with ultrasonography, and if they are pregnant, it's happy, but if not, we do sometimes vaginal examination, and there is no abnormal findings, then we do so-called treatment. But it's not treatment because it's normal, but so this is sometimes treatment of hormonal drugs to induce estrus. But quite often, in this case, not like Holstein cows, the percentage of cows that have corpus luteum or CL is much higher than that in case of dairy cows, because they are not the level of energy balance is much less, and the energy balance status is much better. So so that the number of curves with CL is high, then we do give prostaglandin F-sulfur injection rather than starting GnRH or Obscene program, because they require only 3 days to be inseminated, and also they don't have to detect the estrus. So duration of the protocol is much less, and the cost is a bit higher, but the consumption rate, let's see. And then we have conducted some experiment. So use of ultrasonography, because of this mobile type ultrasonography, has become very popular in the last decades. So much more veterinarians or practitioners own a device, because, for example, let's say 20 years ago, one machine per clinic where several veterinarians are working, but nowadays one device per person is not a rare case. So the objective of this study is first to elucidate the effectiveness of a timed AI protocol using PGF-sulfur and given, followed by GnRH in Japanese black cows with a CL. So a total of 578 cows were used, and then they are divided into 2 groups at the same time, and then this control group 2 was also used for the comparison. They were inseminated after, or they treated with prostaglandin F-sulfur only, and they were inseminated after detection of estrus. So this is an experimental design, a short sink we called, and then this is PGF-sulfur. 56 hours after that, GnRH was given, and then inseminated 16 to 20 hours after. In control groups, only PGF-sulfur, and then only the cows that showed estrus signs were inseminated. So the timing of insemination were varied, of course. So as experiment 2, 38 Japanese black cows were used in order to make ROC curve was used for the analysis of diagnostic test performance. So the ovarian structure was video recorded, and follicle and CL diameters as well as CL volume on days 0 and 2 were recorded using an ultrasound scanner with a linear probe, and dynamic moving image software was used. So the volume of CL was estimated using an equation as stated in this slide. So this is some of the results we got. So in short sink group, of course, this is a timed AI, so insemination rate was 100%, so the conception rate was 60%, and also as well as pregnancy rate, which is the same as the CR. In comparison, the control group in control group 1 was lower conception rate and much lower in pregnancy rate. But control group 2 was further lower and then there was a significant difference in pregnancy rate because of the AI or heat detection rate was much lower than the treatment group. So this is ROC, or receiver operating characteristic curve for fertility. So this blue line shows volume of corpus luteum at day 0 or the day of PG injection. So this was almost 80%, or a bit more than 80% as predictive for the further fertility. So economic effects on farm income using short-chain program had better or higher income compared to single PGFR injection. For example, if you have a client or producer that have 70 cows and calculating 45 cows and 31 calves had 21 or almost 22 million yen, but if you used short-chain program, so the number of calves they get is 11 cows more. So it can calculate more or less 70,000 US dollars or 7.7 million Japanese yen. So just as I told, short-chain protocol was effective for improving the pregnancy rate in beef herds. So pretty much the same the situation was in dairy cows in Japan compared to, because they are not grazing cows, and so it's a very adequate or a suitable situation for the practitioners to give a PG injection, and also use of ultrasonography is feasible, and it's adequate in our field conditions of Japanese black cows. Okay, so the next one is how do we tackle with stillbirth and dystocia? So this is pretty much, so this is different from the figures of stillbirth rate and dystocia rate in Holstein cows in our country. As you may know, as most of you may know, the heat stress on dairy cattle is a serious problem. Not only European or American or Australian, many other countries have. In Japan, Japan is not exceptional. Japan only. Here, even in Hokkaido, north part of Japan, also in the middle of summer, for the dairy cows have serious heat stress. Okay, now this is Japanese black. Number of stillbirths in dairy and beef cattle in Japan, this total is increasing. So just the data are a little bit old, but has been increased. And as we defined stillbirth as no less than 240 days of pregnancy, born dead, and distinguished from a calf that died soon after birth. So this is Miyazaki Prefecture. It's one of the 47 prefectures cause of dead cows in Japanese black cows. And economic loss due to stillbirth per year can be calculated as 290 million yen or 2.6 million US dollars multiplied by 150,000 yen. So we did a kind of retrospective study to identify the risk factors for stillbirth and dystocia in Japanese black cattle by analyzing calving records. So this is our area. So this is the map of Japan. We are here, and I'm coming from Miyazaki Prefecture. It's one of the prefecture in Kyushu Island, and the records were collected around the city of Miyazaki. It's the central area of Miyazaki Prefecture. So a total of 41,000 carvings in more or less 15,000 animals between 2006 and 2010 was collected. Because this is, we had foot and mouth disease in 21, so we couldn't include the data after foot and mouth disease because the data was not appropriate for that period. So to calculate more adequately the rate of stillbirth and dystocia, we used until March 2010. So the mean number of animal cows per farm was 18, and all the animals were permanently housed in insulated open cubicle houses. So all of the dams had a 10-digit unique identification number. So this is, in Japan, all of the cows that were born forced to have a unique 10-digit numbers. So using this number, we had collected dam number, birth date of dam, date of AI, and calving record, calving parity, gestation length, presence or absence of stillbirth or dystocia, and causes of dystocia obtained from the Miyazaki Prefecture Livestock Association. So this is the result. Changes in the environmental temperature in the city of Miyazaki and the stillbirth rate. This is a stillbirth rate. As you can see, there is a seasonal effect of the incidence of stillbirth. So this is from 2006 and 2010. And this blue line is the outside temperature or environment temperature. So as you can see, when the temperature is low or winter season, stillbirth rate increase. So this is a negative correlation between stillbirth rate and average temperature per month. So as you can see, if there are outside temperature or outside temperature and inside of the house temperature is about the same in Miyazaki Prefecture, because Miyazaki is the south part of Japan, is in summer is so humid and hot. So, but in winter it may reach less than 10 degree. So if it's 14 degree temperature, then the stillbirth rate is more than 2.5%. So this is similarly, this is the changes in the environmental temperature in the city of Miyazaki and dystocia rate. So likewise, dystocia rate was high during winter. So this is a very interesting result, and we had published a paper. And this is the conception rate in 4 different seasons. As you can see, this is the conception rate. Is highest among the 4 seasons was summer, and then followed by winter, spring, and winter. So summer and autumn were much higher conception rate than the winter and spring, which was totally different from that we have in Holstein dairy cows. So this bar shows days at first AI, days postpartum at first AI. So it is longer days required in winter and spring compared to summer and autumn. So this is days from calving to first AI in cows that had normal calving, stillbirth, and dystocia. Yeah, it is interesting. Or naturally, because the stillbirth cows, uterine involution, the degree of uterine involution was less, so that the estrus came earlier than the normal or dystocia cows. So they required shorter days from calving to first AI, but first AI conception rate was lowest among the three groups. It means they manifest estrus signs, but conception rate or the fertility was lower than the other groups. This is something interesting information that we have to share with the farmers and the inseminators. So number of AI per conception is same, stillbirth rate required more compared to normal cows. So the fertility is decreased. And also this is interesting. So the cow that had the stillbirth in the previous calving more likely to have stillbirth in the next calving. So this is higher, and also dystocia. Okay, as you can see, stillbirth is related to some of the stillbirths are caused by dystocia. So these two factors are more stillbirth rate than normal cows, or normally calving cows. So as conclusion, so herd size has increased about almost 5 times over the last 3 decades. And calf price has risen since calf production has fallen, as I showed you in the introduction section. And short sink protocol in combination with ultrasonography is effective, applicable, and profitable because of the feeding system and the value of a calf. Particular care and attention is necessary in breeding and calving in winter. Okay, that's all my presentation, and thank you for your attention. Thank you.